G'day. We've just finished the one-day biodynamic course. Ben Clinch, the free-range butcher, has kindly come down from Sydney. You've got an interesting story, Ben, because you grew up on a farm.
I did.
And you're not at the farm anymore. You're in Sydney doing some other interesting things. You want to tell us what you're doing? And then we'll get into sort of why you're even here. Because what you're doing doesn't necessarily, inform us that you would be at this sort of an event. But it's tell us why.
No, for sure. Look, thanks. I think, yes, I did. I started, grew up at Barra, up in the north of New South Wales, northwestern New South Wales. Went to boarding school in Sydney. Look, I spent a bit of time in the Northern Territory after that.
You survived the boarding school thing.
Look, I got out with
only a few scars.
Portion of my dignity.
But that's for another. You were young and needed the money. Okay, moving on.
That's part two. But no, look, got out there, did a bit of time in the Northern Territory, and then I went back down to Sydney. I worked in pubs for a long time in Sydney for about 10 years, and I ended up while doing that, doing my wall and floor tiling trade.
Right, yep.
Did bathroom renovations, had a business doing that. While I was doing that, I started bringing meat down from our farm, knowing that we had a good product on farm.
So was it beef?
Beef and lamb.
Lamb, yep.
We had my dad had shares in a small co-op that owned a butcher shop in Barraba. And from that, I'm now here sort of 10 years later with the free range butcher. We're doing 30 plus markets a month, farmers markets through Sydney, online and internet. What brought me here? Well, obviously with the free range butcher we do grass fed meat, and we try and specialise in that. The season that we see now is obviously getting fairly hard to source that sort of product. And being off farm, I've got a really good agricultural background, and I've got good strengths there. And I mean, in talking to farmers, and especially doing what I've been doing the last 10 years, I've talked to a lot more variety of farmers than I have done in my early part of my life.
So just with your early part of your life, your farm at Barraba, would you say it was conventionally run?
Yeah, very much so. I mean, my dad's progressive. We've run a holistic management system of some sorts up there. We've been into cell grazing. One thing that my father did when we first took over was to divide paddocks. We just kept dividing paddocks. We put troughs everywhere.
Was that on the back of doing a course, or the read some books?
No, look, I think just with talking with other farmers, seeing how the place was already run, and we got there in '85. We were towards the end of a pretty hard drought.
Yeah,
it was a tough drought that we came in about 80. I think it was '85 that we bought the farm. Might have been the year before that. Conventional grazing, and I think from talking with other farmers, seeing the way that the farm had been run, he understood there probably need to be some changes. And so from what he learned, I think in those initial years, and it was a pretty tough initiation into that area. We got good deep basalt soils. We're on a 40-inch rainfall. Barraba's, we're high in the mountains.
Really, 40 inches?
Yeah, Barraba's on a 26. We're in the mountains. We get 40.
Yeah,
now
26 here.
We haven't got 40 for a long time.
Yeah.
But that's traditionally where it should have been. So in doing that, he understood that the ground needed to be rested, and the regenerative, agriculture and the nature of grasses and the benefits you get out of resting those paddocks. So, we've progressively taken that forward. He's now 70 plus, and made some good changes on the farm. But sort of going back to why I'm here today, I understand, and I've seen a lot of organic meat in the last 10 years of my business. Talked to a lot of farmers, both commercial farmers, organic farmers. Not so many biological farmers, but I can see that there is a need for a different way of the agriculture moving forward, and farmers needing to think differently than the way they do at the moment. And what we're doing, and the reliance on chemicals and the reliance on the chemical companies, and I'm not a big company person at all. I think it should be all small business, and the more I can help small business work with small businesses is one of my passions. So I think in coming to this, I did a course a couple of years ago with Graham Saint up in southwest Queensland at NTS, and that
was his 4-day
sustainable agriculture course.
Yep.
And that opened my eyes to this. It's not strictly organic or anything like that, or biodynamic. he's got a lot of preparation. Sells a lot of biodynamic accredited stuff.
Yeah.
But that sort of opened my eyes, led me down the path, and I'm still getting my head around a lot of the concepts. A lot of the concepts are pretty deep.
Yeah. That's good. Going deep's good.
Yeah. I've got no dramas with it, but I still consider myself coming from a conventional side, from looking over the fence now. Well, I'm sitting on the fence, my legs are on your side, and I'm getting ready to jump down and start walking, So
the interesting thing is you're sourcing the meat. Like a lot of the people I interview. Scott, are you going?
He's off.
He's off. No. Okay, I'll see you in a second.
Make a cup of tea.
Make it a good one this time. A
the
lot of the interesting thing is a lot of the farmers I interview, they're farming and they're growing. I mean, I know your family's still growing, meat up north, but you as an individual, you're not necessarily growing it yourself, but you're at the other end or you're further down the track. You're actually the guy sourcing it and then on selling it. So it's interesting that you've identified, or I guess you're looking at quality. And you're looking at the supplier. Is the source and the story and the ethics? How important is that to you when you're sourcing and you're identifying?
Oh, look, ethics for us is critical, and ethics has been critical since we started. The whole grass-fed thing is the backbone of what we do. So the ethics is always underlying. We're not moving away from what we do. Obviously, the better the ethics, the better the outcome as far as farming is concerned. I see a customer demand for it more so than than what has been.
So growing awareness.
Yep. And probably what I've seen is grass-fed has been watered down. And when we started 10 years ago, we are the free-range butcher as such.
Yeah.
It's the whole free ranging's been watered down. It's not what it was, and it's not. And now that's been sort of, in effect, it's probably been trampled all over.
You mean beef and even chickens? That's sort of all the jargon.
I don't think chicken had any standard to start with. I mean, if you know what I mean? Like,
unless
you're a small producer and you're doing it yourself and you've got that direct. But I mean, once you start talking with
Jen, you go. Give me 2 minutes, 3 minutes. I want to say goodbye.
Hold on.
Everyone's just trying to run out of here. Why?
It's phone calls. Just want to like a video,
Okay.
We just love talking. But
just over there. Rightio, yes.
But so for us, I think to get to the consumer, one of the big part of what I wanted to do when I started the business was get the farmer closer to the consumer. And the more I've got into it, the more I do it, more my ideals are changing. They're becoming more idealistic in that I think that we need to bring that as close as we can. But two, as farmers, it's our responsibility to do it the best way, the cleanest way that we can possibly bring food to the consumer. I know a lot more than what I did 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And in knowing that knowledge, it doesn't sit comfortably to sit my business where it is now. We need to do better and we need to source better. We need to encourage farmers to do what you're doing. We need to bring people into that room there with Hamish to learn that sort of stuff. And I mean, you talk to farmers about some of that sort of stuff and you see mine's just like fall up. But if we don't start talking to them, if we don't get them close to the fence to start looking over the side, then never going to come.
Well, you actually play a really important role in this whole process because as a farmer, I can bang on about what I think the consumer should be thinking. You should be thinking about me and my food and the food I produce and why you should buy it. But you're in the middle, so you're in a bit of a more of a neutral, theoretically unbiased position because you're actually going, well, I know farmers and I know you, my customer, and I'm telling you this is important. So I'm glad there's people like you who are in the middle there who can actually give the feedback to farmers to say, my customers are telling me X, Y, and Z. If you want to sell meat, forget whether it's you or anyone else, but if you want to be a farmer who's relevant and growing and has somewhere to sell meat, because every farmer's got a story. They've got to sell the sizzle, not just the sausage. That you giving that feedback is one of the, that's a vital role that you're playing. So thank you for a start. Thank you for coming today.
No,
I hope you've learnt something. I hope to see you again, or go up check out your situation up at DY Mona Vale.
There, come up to the boning room at Summersby if you want.
Definitely, gnaw on a chop. And Ben, great to meet you.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's
Good,
great. Have a
good
good
on
day.
you.